Live near your work. If you live close to your work, that's the program we're going to talk about. That program starts in spring of 2012 and goes full-time. University officers, presidents and members, and employees whose name are on the list, the university form, do not qualify. The Live Near Your Work program was set up by the Office of Planning in DC. The Office of Planning will match the funds with a grant to help you to live near your work. By living near your work, you will save money, and we will match the funds. Up to $12,000 for each employee. And grants have a limit, so understand, if you live in your home for 5 years or more, then you do not have to pay back the grant. If you live less than 5 years or more in that home, you will have to pay some back, but understand it's not all of it. And it'll be less than if you didn't do this program. But 5 years or more, again, you do not have to pay back the money. The money is for the associates only. And you must live within 1.5 miles of the campus. It's limited to 10 qualified volunteers for the project. And it's first come, first serve. So if you qualify and we meet you, we're going to go through a couple of things. Before you enter the program, you're going to have to take 8 hours and interpreting services will be provided. You'll have to have a recommendation letter with your qualifications. And you must fill out a volunteer service form. That form will be available in spring of 2012. And lastly, it's really important, you must live within 1.5 miles of the campus. More information will come later in the spring of 2012. And we will send letters out with more information about the program.
Simple, no major changes from last year. We're proposing, I guess, the standard or the regular 3% increase for the salaried positions. I am this year suggesting an increase in the part-time secretary position from 6,000 to 8,000, just to be able to cover the amount of time that we use that inspections and for records and permit information. And so it kind of gets all of the projects started. So it's important, I guess. I would like to see that increase so that we can accommodate the amount of time that it takes. Otherwise, the only other change to the budget is adding the office supply position or the account. And I've just estimated at 3,000. It might be less than that. Hopefully, it won't be more than that. Just that's based upon the past couple of years' records of the supplies that we have purchased, or at least the record that we have. All of the second page items are all the same as 2012. No much questions today. I do want to comment that we did run this by the Joint Advisory Board that kind of supervises our department, since we're both city and county office, and the advisory board has recommended this budget.
a long time ago when I was growing up, I really wanted a brother, and I really looked forward to it. I waited and waited. And in my house, I was alone. One day, a boy showed up, and he was about this tall. And I said, "Who is this? Who is this? This is your foster brother?" So we didn't talk for 2 days. And then we were eating, and then we would go off. And I said, "Be careful, do you mind?" I said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want to ride my bike." And I like to play, and so I said, "Fine, okay." And he zoomed off. It was crazy. I was trying to catch up to him, but he rode so fast. Then I was ready, and I put on my helmet and put on my shoulder pads, and I couldn't catch up to him. For an hour, 2 hours, we finally arrived. And I said, "What's up? You stole my room." So he got bigger and bigger and improved, and his language skills were improving. And I wanted to keep a lot to myself. But he had no family, and he was giving me love, so I wanted to give him the love back and share. I wanted to share my family. And I will always remember when I got my foster brother.
nice to meet you too.
I've invited Miss Miller to sit in on
It's
our
nice to meet
interview
you.
so that she can become acquainted with your qualifications and what you can contribute to the position and to the agency. The interview format will consist of 10 questions. Do you have any questions about the interview process?
Yeah, I do. I'm curious how long after the interview until I find out about the position.
The
How long does
decision
that
will be
take?
made by the end of the week.
Okay, let's get started. Why are you interested in the supervising clerk position?
So I love the job I have now. I really enjoy it. But it's the same every day. The same paperwork, the same people. I'm not meeting new people. And I feel like I'm a little bit bored. It's not really
What
enough
prior
for me.
performance do you have that demonstrates your ability to perform the job?
I've been here for 6 years, and also I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Washington. I was a student there. I was student worker. I worked for the business department. I was involved in all kinds of different activities. And before that college,
What
I was involved
qualifications do
in
you
Miss
have
America
that will
pageant.
enhance your role in this agency?
I have good people skills. I have good communication skills. I'm a great deaf leader. I've worked for the Washington State Agency for the Deaf. I work here. I'm bilingual. People respect me. When they need help, they come ask me
This
for
job
help.
requires some evening work and occasional overtime, especially as quarterly reports are due. Are you available for evening work and overtime?
Yeah, if you let me know ahead of time,
This
that's
position
no problem.
requires some public speaking in the form of job training for your employees, internal staff meetings, and larger all-hands meetings. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I've experienced that many times. Also, I've presented in front of many people, so I'm comfortable with that
The job will
experience.
also involve some collaboration with human resources in regards to hiring and firing and any disciplinary action that may become necessary. Would that be a problem for you?
So I worked for the Miss Deaf America pageant, so I haven't necessarily experienced all of the hiring and firing, but I've done that activity. That was in Portland, Oregon. And I had many duties there that were similar. So I had to control different kinds
You
of
know that
situations
most
and approach
employees
situations in different
department
ways.
Can hear. While we will be providing interpreter services, they will not be on site all the time. How will you handle a situation when an interpreter is not present and you need to speak with a hearing employee immediately?
I can handle that situation. So I'm used to a life learning communication skills, and I'm patient. and I'm comfortable with the staff here, so anytime they can come to
If an
me
employee
and we will
came
work
to
it
you
out.
and told you that he or she was being sexually harassed by another employee, how would you handle that situation?
I think it's important to collect the facts first before you go around stating that something really happened. So then I
Where
would
do you
ask
see
for advice
yourself
on
in
what to
5
do.
years?
I hope still working here. And, you know, I'm very satisfied with my job, so my plan for the future and my goal is to go back to college and get a master's in management. But now I feel like the work experience I'm getting is giving me great skills, and I'm growing and adding a lot.
Before we conclude, do you have any questions for us?
I'm curious, if I'm hired for the job, how many people will be hired right underneath me?
We're looking to expand the department over the next few years.
So do I get benefits
Now,
for being a
our managers
manager?
do earn vacation time at a higher rate. They also receive a $200 increase for a total of $1,000 per year for professional development activities. But I'm sure that Mr. Doherty will be happy to provide more details about these kinds of things at a later time.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. So I went to the doctor and I waited and waited to get in. So I need to get my medicine.
Okay.
So I know my sister had cancer in her stomach and it spread to her back. And it was about 5 years that she took medicine for. And now she's lost that cancer, but I'm worried about getting osteoporosis, and I'm wondering if the osteoporosis will get worse or if the medicine will prevent it.
Osteoporosis that she had, do you think that's what it was? Osteoporosis? Well,
Yeah.
most women are at risk for developing osteoporosis. It really does not have anything to do with the cancer that she had, although that could have made it worse. But women are at risk for osteoporosis, which is a condition that makes your bones more brittle. And that puts you at risk for breaking hips and small fractures in your vertebrae, which are very painful. And the reason that women are...
So how do you
Yes,
lessen
what
that
happens
risk?
is women that have osteoporosis tend to shrink because their vertebrae, there's fractures and they shrink down in size, and it's a painful situation.
Does the medicine help?
As a matter of fact, it's calcium. It's just over the counter. You can buy calcium with vitamin D.
So you have problems if you don't drink milk?
It's either not drinking enough milk or getting calcium from other sources in your diet. You don't necessarily have to get calcium from milk, but most people don't get enough calcium in their diet. And so, especially women, and as I said, the reason that women are prone to osteoporosis is because your bones are less dense to begin with than males. And so men do get it, but at a much lower rate than women. And so what you should do is if you're not drinking 3 or 4 full glasses of milk every day, which I know I don't, then you should supplement your diet with calcium tablets with vitamin D, because the calcium with vitamin D is more effective than just the calcium alone.
So if I don't drink milk, the calcium pills, if I take those, so should that prevent the bone loss?
Yes, that will help. Sometimes it's not enough, the calcium alone. If someone has active osteoporosis, and your doctor can actually run a test and do a scan on your foot, you just put your foot in a little, like an x-ray machine. It's called a DEXA scan, and they can tell if you have osteoporosis or something called osteopenia, which is kind of the step before osteoporosis. If you actually do have osteoporosis, then you should be on additional medication. If you don't have osteoporosis, it's still a good idea to take the calcium with vitamin D, because that'll help prevent it down the line. So what I usually recommend to all my patients who are women that are not drinking a lot of dairy or getting a lot of calcium in their diet, even when they're young, is to take calcium with vitamin D every day. Because even if you do not have osteoporosis, you are at risk of it simply because you're a woman. And taking the calcium will help prevent that.
Okay. So if I go pick up the vitamin, so there's a new medicine label. So when I get new medicine, the label,
Calcium?
I don't understand the name. if it says for calcium, yeah, I see that, but there's lots of big words on these medications, so I'm not really sure. So will it say on the label calcium and then